So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be talking about the Indian Express of the day as well as of the weekend. We could not come live on Saturday and Sunday because this program is scheduled from Monday to Friday. So we will be covering the Saturday and Sunday's important articles in the Monday's discussion. Okay, so let's start with the discussion over here. Now, when we are talking about today's episode over here, we will be talking about certain things that is celebrating the diaspora. Now, you can, if you are not finding your this article particularly in your today's newspaper, don't worry. We will be giving you this PDF that will be there in either Saturday or Sundays or Mondays. You can say newspaper. So just keep a tap on that. We will be sending you the PDF in the Telegram group, so you can directly take it from there. Otherwise, also if you can access all the three newspaper right now, so you can do that as well. Okay. Right now, focus on this because the content is important, where article is that is not. Okay, so that is there, celebrating the diaspora. So on the 9th of January we celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. Why do we celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas? That is also we'll be considering at that point of time. Next, moving further, Maldives in neighborhood first policy. Now recently you know that during the elections that happened in last year, when we are talking about the Maldives president has been elected over here, the name is the Mohamed Moizu. Now when we are talking about the Mohamed Moizu, he has this initially instance which is against India, or you can say he came into office on a India out campaign. Okay, but after some time he realized that this will not work, because ultimately Maldives is somehow dependent on India. Maldives is getting a lot of aid from India. Now considering that they are now again coming in in cooperation with India, so we will be talking about that. So recently there was this foreign minister level talks which has happened, so we will be talking about that. Then avian influenza in tigers. Generally when we talk about the avian influenza or the bird flu, you will be associating it with the birds. Okay, but the thing is, this is a zoonotic disease. It can transfer from birds to human to other animals as well. Okay, so recently there was 2 tigers and 1 leopard that has been actually diagnosed with this particular, you can say, bird influenza or the avian influenza. What happens is that there were some deaths, okay, and after that some samples was taken and then it was realized that they died of the bird flu. So we will be talking about that. The particular variant is H5N1. So we will be talking about this variant as well. Okay. Now in the end there will be, for your own read, one article will be there which we are discussing in the in-depth program. Okay, so you can read the article or you can directly watch this video today. Okay, coming to the next one, fact of the day, we will be talking about that. India Pakistan related some aspect is there, so we will be talking about that. Coming to the next one, geography through maps. Here we will be talking about some passes, some Himalayan passes. We have already seen the Himalayas, we have already seen the Indian plains, we have talked about the peninsular plateau. Okay, now we will be going into the the areas which are around that. So let's say the passes, then we will be going to the Western Ghats, then we will be talking about the Eastern Ghats, all these things, some of the important mountains, all these things we will be talking about. Okay, in the end there will be explanation of the question which was given to you in the previous lecture, and then there will be a practice question for you for today's session. Okay. Now moving further, I would like to tell you that we are offering ISGS foundation course at our new center, that is Noida sector 15. English medium batch is starting on 9th of January 6 p.m. For Hindi medium it is starting on 16th of January 11:30 a.m. For more details you can call on this number, that is 87501, or you can directly visit the center and get yourself enrolled. Okay, so that is about the courses. If you are interested, you can directly visit the center or you can actually call on this number which is given on your screen. Okay. Now coming to the first article, that is President Prime Minister to attend 9th 10th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas event in Bhubaneswar. So this time it is happening in Bhubaneswar. This is the 18th edition. Okay, so before that there are 17th edition, they have actually been performed. Now every time it will be in different city, there will be a different theme. Okay, so considering that, we are right now trying to promote that how India can be beneficial for the diaspora. We are trying to celebrate that how Indian community which is living outside is helping India grow. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, we are telling them that you can come and invest in your own country. Okay, that will help you as well as us. Okay, so that is the idea behind it. It started in 2003. We will be talking about that. Okay, now let's see. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 18th edition of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention, key initiative of government of India to connect and engage with the Indian diaspora in Bhubaneswar. Okay, so now two things you have to remember, that 18th edition has been there in Bhubaneswar. Why we are doing it? We are doing it to promote ourselves. We are doing it to celebrate the diaspora. Now, when we talk about Indian diaspora, maximum of them is living in USA and UAE. Okay, India is nearly having somewhere around 35.4 million diaspora which is living outside. So that is very, you can say, big number. That is a strong diaspora, you can say. Other than that, here 19.5 out of which 19.5 million are of person of Indian origin, and then when we are talking about the 15.8, they are basically NRI, non-returning Indians. So we will be seeing that what is the difference between person of Indian origin and the NRIs. These are the two terms. I will be giving you a passing reference with respect to that. Okay. Then coming to the next one, President Draupadi Murmu will be delivering a valedictory address over here, conferring the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. Here they are giving this award, Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, which recognize the individuals and the organizations that has made significant contribution in the fields such as social work, humanitarian efforts, enhancing India's global standards. Okay. Now, when we are talking about this particular award, this is to, you can say, celebrate the contribution of the diasporas over here. Fields are given: social work, humanitarian efforts, and enhancing India's global standing. Okay. So that is about the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. Now you have to remember that there is one, you can say, award which is given on this particular occasion. Okay. Coming to the next one here, the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated on the 9th January to mark the Mahatma Gandhi's return from South Africa to India. You know that 1915 is the time when Mahatma Gandhi returned to India, and he has started to participate in the Indian politics, and later on he has become the central figure when we are talking about the Indian national movements. Okay, so that is there. This year's theme is Diaspora's contribution to Viksit Bharat. Everywhere this time you will be seeing that we are focusing more on the two things. One is Viksit Bharat, sustainable development. Okay, so here Diaspora's contribution to Viksit Bharat is the theme this time. Now coming to the next one, an opportunity for dialogue between the Indian government and the diaspora, or you can say its citizens which are living outside. Okay. Policies affecting the diaspora, visa regulation, investment opportunities, community welfare, etc. Other than that, we are showcasing our potential, okay, for the investment, innovation, and the collaboration, encouraging overseas Indian to contribute to the national development. Okay. Now this is where we tell them that we are doing these initiative, we are working on these project. You can come and invest in India. Okay. Coming to the next one, PM will also inaugurate an exhibition, Vishwaroop Ram, the universal legacy of Ramayana. Now there will be various exhibitions. One of them is the Vishwaroop Ram, the universal legacy of Ramayana. This can be asked in PCS examinations. Okay. Second thing is, they are also having exhibition on the technology and the Viksit Bharat, the contribution of technology in the Viksit Bharat. Other than that, there is another exhibition with respect to the people who has migrated from the Mandvi in Gujarat to Muscat in Oman. Okay. Now you don't have to remember all these things. Just know that there is this Vishwaroop Ram, the universal legacy of Ramayana. This is the theme of exhibition which PM will inaugurate over here. Now this is about the article. Now let's talk about the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Okay, it is also known as the Non-Resident Indian Day, NRI Day. Okay, celebrated on the January 9th to mark the contribution and the achievements of the diaspora or the overseas Indian community to development of India. We have talked about it. It is a flagship event of the Ministry of External Affairs. Okay, so now this is something which you can remember. Commemorates the return of Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa to India in 1915. We have talked about that as well. It was first celebrated in 2003. I told you that it was an annual event earlier, but in 2015 the government revised its format to celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas once every 2 years. From 2003 it was celebrated, you can say, every year, but after 2015 they are celebrating it once in 2 years. Okay, so that is the change which you can remember. This is about Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, which we have discussed. That can be important for your examination. That can be asked. There can be a question based on that. Now, who is an NRI? Simple name, non-resident Indian. Sometime there is this another word which is another term which is used, that is non-returning Indian. That is, you know, some kind of social construct that has been made, but the term is non-resident Indian. Okay, it is a term used to describe an individual of Indian origin or the Indian citizen who reside outside of India for employment, business, other purposes, has intention of staying abroad for indefinite period of time. Now they are saying that there is a person of you can say from the India, and he is living outside for business, education, employment or other purposes, and now he is having an intention that he will be staying there for a while. Okay, for an indefinite period of time. Now such people are called as the non-resident Indian. Now he is Indian, okay, but he is not residing in India, okay. So that is why that is non-resident Indian. So these are individuals of Indian origin or Indian citizens, okay, which are residing outside. Now coming to the next one, that is PIO, person of Indian origin. Now PIO stands for the person of Indian origin. It refers to an individual who is not an Indian citizen of India and but has Indian ancestry or heritage, okay. His father, mother, grandfather, they are basically belonging to India, but he is not an Indian citizen, okay. So what is the difference over here? That this person, NRI, he is Indian, okay, he is having Indian citizenship, but when we are talking about the person of Indian origin, he is not having Indian citizenship, he is citizen of another country. He might have dual citizenship, but the thing is he is not having Indian citizenship, okay. Now it refers to an individual who is not Indian citizen of India, sorry, not a citizen of India, but has Indian ancestry. PIO status is typically granted to individuals who were either citizen of India or whose parents or the grandparents were citizen of India. So he can be, earlier he can be a citizen. Let's say there is a person, Mr. A. Mr. A was an Indian citizen, okay, till age of, let's say, 32 years, okay. After that he has moved to UK, and you know that he has got the citizenship of UK. Now he is a UK citizen. Now we do not have this concept that we can having we will be having citizenship of UK as well as of India. If you are having citizenship of UK, you have to, you can say, renounce your citizenship over here, okay. Now with that you can say now he is the citizen of UK, but he can be a person of Indian origin. Now he is not having the citizenship, but he had the citizenship in the past. Or let's say his son, Mr. X, or daughter, Miss D, they are living in UK, they are born and brought up in UK. So these people can also be considered as the people of Indian origin, because his father, his or her father, or the other ancestors were from India, okay. So that is the difference between the NRI and people of Indian origin. I hope that is clear. Now we can move further. In simple word, you can say NRI is a person who is residing outside India, but he is an Indian citizen, okay. Coming to the PIO, PIO is not an Indian citizen and they are living outside India, okay. Now coming to the next article, that is CBI does not need state consent for filing FIR against central government officers. Now there is one thing which is given over here. When we are talking about the CBI, you know that there are two kind of consent which is there. CBI, to go and investigate into a state, they will be requiring a permission, or you can say some kind of consent. I would use the word consent, okay. That consent can be of two types. One is general or specific, or you can say case by case, okay. Now when we are talking about the general consent, that means that a state has said that we are giving you general consent, you can come anytime, you can investigate and you can go. You don't have to need permission every time you are coming for a case, okay. Now specific consent is that when you are not giving general consent, so before CBI comes to your state for investigation, they have to ask for a permission from the state, and state will, on the basis of the case, will give the permission. That is specific consent, okay. Now they are saying that if there is a case, let's say if there is a law and there is a case against the central government officer, against the, let's say, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, okay. So PMLA is there, and on the violation of PMLA or the corruption case, there is a case which has been created for this person, central government officer, okay. Now CBI does not need state consent for filing FIR against central government officials. Now he is the officer of the central government, okay. Now just to file the FIR, they would not require any kind of consent from the states, okay. So that is there. Let's see what is the issue and what they are trying to say over here. Now Supreme Court in this ruling has said that there was this case which was registered under the Prevention of Corruption Act. We will be talking about that. Now see, the Supreme Court has ruled that the CBI does not need state government consent to register an FIR against the central government employee under the Prevention of Corruption Act over here. Now this is a act which is of central government. A person who is accused, that is also an employee of the central government. Now state has nothing to do with it. In that case, they can file the FIR on their own. They do not require the specific or the general consent in that case, okay. Now overturn the judgment. They have overturned the earlier High Court judgment which is there. The decision overturns the Andhra Pradesh High Court judgment of April 2023 that quashed two FIRs filed by the CBI in Telangana due to the lack of the state sanction. Now they have said that why they have actually you can say revoked these particular FIRs. As I told you that this FIR was against the central government officer, one thing. Second thing is was, you know that Telangana came out of Andhra Pradesh. Okay, Andhra Pradesh has given the general consent to the CBI. But after some time, when Telangana got out of it, though they are saying that that general consent was not valid, and since without any consent they have filed the FIR, that is why they are actually quashing the FIR. Okay, so High Court has given this judgment. Now Supreme Court has said that when the Andhra Pradesh government has given the general consent, okay, and after that with the act or with the states act, it was actually divided into two states, that is Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Okay, now this action of state, or you can say bifurcation of the state over here, that does not take away the general consent until unless Telangana amends it or make a change in it. Okay, that means that if general consent was there in Andhra Pradesh, that will be there in Telangana as well, until unless the Telangana government or the Telangana state assembly go for any kind of amendment or change. Okay, now considering that, they have said that you cannot quash the FIR. Now here you can say post bifurcation consent, the Supreme Court clarified that the general consent given to the CBI by the undivided Andhra Pradesh government before bifurcation remains valid for both Andhra Pradesh and Telangana unless repealed or amended by the, you can say, state over here. Now central legislation supremacy, they are also saying that if there is a legislation which is from the central government, okay, let's say PMLA or the, you can say, Prevention of Corruption Act, all these are central legislations, and if the accusations are made on the central officers or the central employees, in that case also these particular, there will be a supremacy which will be given to the center. Now central legislation supremacy, the judgment emphasizes that the central government employees are governed by the central laws like the PC Act, and the state consent is not required for the registering the FIR involving them. So in that case, if there is a central law which is governing a officer of central government, okay, so there will be supremacy of center and state consent will not be required over here. Okay, now legal principle, the court stated that the FIR under the central act can be filed without the state consent if the alleged offence involves the central government employees irrespective of the place of the posting. Okay, so this is the principle which has been established by this judgment of the Supreme Court. Okay, what are the implications? The ruling ensures that the CBI's autonomy in investigating corruption cases involving central government is enhanced over here. So this is about the issue over here. Now we will be talking about something related to the CBI only, because that can be asked a question. Now when we are talking about the establishment of the CBI, you know that this is not via any kind of you can say new act for itself. So it was done by the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946, and it was, you can say, established in 1963. Now there was already an existing act which was there, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act DSPE 1946, under which in 1963 they have established CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. It is to investigate corruption, economic offences and other serious crimes. Jurisdiction, the CBI operates under the jurisdiction of the central government with powers to investigate offence across states with prior consent or the notification. When we are talking about this prior consent, as I told you, that can be of two types. One is general consent and second will be specific case by case. Okay. Now this is about your Central Bureau of Investigation. This we have talked about CBI. We have seen that how if there is a central supremacy can be ensured by a Supreme Court's verdict. Okay. Now coming to the next one, that is basically Sangpo Dam India's options. Now we have discussed this article two times. Okay. Now there was this article which has been given over here, so I thought that I will give you a passing reference over here. When we are talking about this Sangpo Dam, that is being proposed by China on the Yarlung Sangpo river, which is flowing in Tibet. Then it will be entering into India through Arunachal Pradesh. There it is called as Siang river. After that it will be, you know, meeting with some other tributaries, and ultimately it will be called Brahmaputra. Okay, so here you can see this is the Yarlung Sangpo river, and then this is the bend. This is the called as the Great U Bend. Now China is proposing the, you can say, dams over here. Okay, it is said that it will be China's, or you can say world's largest project over here, that is the world's largest dams over here, which will be built by China. Okay, right now is the first one or the largest one is there, which is there on the which is there in the China as well. We will be talking about that. Okay, now here they are going for these dams. Okay, and now here you can see after this U-turn it will be entering into India. Here it is called as Siang river. Okay, and after that it will be going into, you can say, Assam and all, then it will be Bangladesh. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now if you look at this article, there are 2-3 headings which is there. It is world's largest hydropower project on the Yarlung Sangpo, which I already told you. It will be 3 times of the existing one, which is the largest right now, that is George Dam on the Yangtze river. Okay, Georges, George dam on Yarlung Sangpo. Okay, so that is there. Coming to the next one, from Tibet, the Yarlung Sangpo enters Arunachal Pradesh, where it is known as Siang. In Assam, it joins the tributaries such as Dibang and Lohit. It is called as Brahmaputra. The river then enters into Bangladesh and makes its way into the Bay of Bengal. Now, this is something which you should know. You should already know, because this is a static part when we are talking about the Indian rivers and all. So, Brahmaputra is very, very important river when we are talking about. Other than that, also recently northeast region has been of immense importance. Okay, so considering that, it becomes important for you. Now, why are there concerns with respect to this particular project? Because the ecology of this area, that is fragile. The people who are living in this region, there is a livelihood, there is the, you can say, agricultural activities which are there, which will also be impacted. There will be a displacement of a huge you can say communities from this area. So that is why there is concerns related to that. Now, other than that, why India is concerned? India is concerned with respect to the water requirements. Other than that, also when we are talking about the run of the river projects, China is saying that this is a run of the river, they will not be storing the water over there. But the thing is, strategically speaking, if we see, China can hold the water. If there is a dam, they have the capacity to hold the water, and they can suddenly also release the water. Okay, so these are two things which can be used in the time of war, in the time of the any kind of tension which is there. Okay, other than that, also if there is a dam on the upper riparian side or the upper side of the river, that will have some kind of impact on the lower riparian states. Now, who are the lower riparian states? One is your India, second is Bangladesh. Okay, now this is the time where India should strongly put forward our concern. Okay, otherwise this will not, if they are coming up with the dam, they have made the dam, then we cannot do anything. Okay, so that is something which is there. Now here you can see what are the issues over here. That is, one, it is risky and dangerous. Second is, as the lower riparian state, it will state with establishment user rights of the waters of the river, we have consistently expressed our views and concerns to the Chinese side over the mega project on its territory. We have expressed our concern, but we have to do it strongly. The China side has urged to ensure that the interest of the downstream states of the Brahmaputra are not harmed by the activities of the upstream. That is what China is saying. But the problem is that we cannot trust China. Okay, coming to the next one here, stakes are serious. We have to take very serious steps over here. Now, what is the Yarlung Sangpo project? We have already talked about this particular project, that they are going for the largest dam which they are creating over here. And why is that? Because when we are talking about China, China is a water scarce country. Now, when we talk about the population is somewhere around 15 to 16% of the world that is residing in China. Okay, they are having water resources that is 7 to 8% only. Now, that is why the water you can say becomes a scarce resource for them, and they require water. Now, Brahmaputra is a river which is having nearly 66% of its course in China, but they do not have the storage, because that is going through a very harsh geography. There are steep slopes, because of which you can say you cannot store water over here in the Tibetan region, and that is why you will be seeing that most of the water of the Brahmaputra can be utilized in the Arunachal Pradesh and Assam part, because there are some kind of plains which are there. Okay, and because of which China wants to have a hold on this particular area of Arunachal Pradesh as well. But right now they are coming up with the dam at the Great U Bend to make sure that their water requirements are fulfilled. So that is there. Coming to the next one here, why does China wants this mega project? As I already told you, that is one of the reasons that is strategically important. Other than that, also they are saying that we are moving towards the renewable energy, clean energy, and for that hydrological power will be an important factor, and Brahmaputra has a lot of unexplored potential in this area. So they are going for a, you can say, project over Brahmaputra river over here. So that is another thing with respect to the you can say this particular mega project. Why they want it? One is strategic reason, second is water scarcity, third is the clean energy. Okay, so that is there. What are the specific concerns for India? We have already discussed that. One, strategically it is important for us to make sure that China is not near in this particular area. They do not have some kind of infrastructure or the control over the river Brahmaputra. Okay, so that is there. Coming to the next one over here, what coordination mechanism do India have on the transboundary rivers? Now, when we are talking about the transboundary rivers with China, we have, you can say, already a mechanism with respect to the Brahmaputra, we have with the Satluj river, but the problem is that they are not very effective. Okay, if you go through this particular article, you will be saying that there is an umbrella memorandum of understanding on the cooperation on the transboundary river and two separate MOUs on the Brahmaputra and Satluj. The need for the Satluj MOU was felt after the Perechu incident. Okay, so there is this place Okay, Parachu incidents which has happened. What happens is that there was a glacial lake which has been created on the Satluj river. Okay, that lake was there and water was getting stored, and ultimately after a while that lake actually busted out. Okay, because of which floods were there in the lower riparian areas. China has warned us about it, and because of which the damage could be controlled. Okay, and they have warned us because of this particular MOU. Now there are some issues with respect to the, you can say, provisions, and they wanted to renew or change it, but the thing is that talks are not going very effective as of now. Okay, so that is there. Now here you can say, when we are talking about the Brahmaputra MOU, renewable every 5 years, left in 2023, renewable process is ongoing through the diplomatic channels. Okay. Now, other than that, when we are talking about this MOUs, there is this provision that China should provide data. We said that we need year on year basis data, but China is not giving that. Okay, so that is there. Other than that, these are some of the concern which is there. Other than that, internationally we have one convention, 1997, United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Non-Navigational Uses of the International Watercourse can play a role over here. Now, we are not signatory of this particular, you can say, convention, but still that can play a little bit role, because we are both countries as a sovereign nations, we are kind of observing this particular convention. Okay, so that is about the your Sangpo Dam and the India's options over here. What are the options here? We do not have much option. What we have to do is that we have to press China that you cannot go for this particular project. Okay, so that is there. Otherwise, we can go for some kind of agreement or the understanding which is legally binding and enforceable in the international law. Okay, so that is about it. We have already seen the map. Now coming to the next part over here. Maldives, a concrete expression of India's neighborhood first policy, says Jaishankar. Two sides finalized framework for the use of local currency in the cross-border trade. Now, last time we have gone for the currency swap. Okay. Last time when we are talking about the Maldives, president was here, we have gone for the currency swap agreement over there. Okay, right now we are going for the local currencies cross border use. Okay, so that is there. Why? Because when we are talking about the Maldives, Maldives is going through you can say some kind of deficit of dollars over there. Okay, now dollars is needed for the international trade. Now if you do not have dollars, that means that your import can be reduced, or you can say your imports cannot be you can say you cannot ask for more imports because you are not paying in dollars. Now that is why they are going for the currency swaps, they are going for the local currency uses in the India and Maldives relations. Okay, so that is there. Now, when we are talking about the President Moizu, last time when he came into power in 2023, we have seen that he has made a lot of chaos. He has said that some of the Indian military persons which were there operating some kind of equipments, he has actually let them out. He has said that India Out campaign was the basically idea which was there, on the basis of which he said that any kind of military persons will not stay in Maldives, and because of which in the March we have seen that we have removed our personals over there, and now civilian staff is there to operate the equipments over there. Now that is what happened in the you can say during the time of the election and just after the elections. At that time we have seen that he has some kind of inclination towards China. Now after the economy has felt a blow, because of which, and other than that, they have seen that China has this transactional nature of the relationship, wherein you have to give something in you can say return if you want something from China. So in that case, considering that, they have realized the importance of India, now they are coming again back towards India. Now here you can see the very concrete expression of India's neighborhood first policy, that is your Maldives. Now two countries have finalized a framework to promote the use of local currency for the cross-border trade and signed a pact on the high impact community development project. Now these are some general terms which has been used. Foreign Minister of the Maldives, that is Abdullah Khalil, who has arrived in India for 3 days visit to explore to ways to bolster the ties in key areas like maritime security, trade and investment. Stem aside the ties since President Mohammad Moizu came to power over the anti-India election plank. We have already talked about that India Out campaign which he has run last year, and subsequently ordered the exit of the Indian military personnel from the island country. We have talked about that. But the recent months have witnessed some kind of turnaround. Moizu himself has visited India. The two countries has agreed to transform the ties from the ties to a comprehensive economic and the maritime security partnership. Now this is the status which both the countries are having, comprehensive economic and the maritime security partnership, and they have gone for the various key pacts over here. Now here you can say the location when we are talking about, this is the off coast, you can say India's off coast over here, and here you can say this is when we are talking about the southwest we have Maldives or Malé, which is there, and most of the, when we are talking about the economy of the Maldives, that is dependent on the tourism. Most of the tourists which are going over here are from India. Okay, there was some kind of clash which has happened between the, you can say, India and Maldives at one point of time, when they have made a remark on our Prime Minister, and our Prime Minister has visited Lakshadweep, and they have said that we are developing as Lakshadweep as a tourist destination. Now, if Lakshadweep is becoming a tourist destination, that can be serving as the alternative to Maldives. Now, that is a big blow to the Maldives tourist economy. Okay, so that is some kind of things which we have seen in the past. Now, when we are talking about the Maldives place in India's neighborhood first policy, so we'll see what is neighborhood first policy. Okay, it is a foreign policy initiative introduced by India in 2014. It aims to strengthen India's relation with the immediate neighborhood. That is something which is very general. It emphasizes on the creating peaceful, prosperous and the stable neighborhood through enhanced connectivity, economic cooperation and people to people exchange. Now, when we are talking about the countries like Bhutan, when we talk about Nepal, when we talk about Maldives, when we talk about Sri Lanka, all these countries are having some kind of cultural affinity with us. Okay, so that is why people to people ties are very important over here. Other than that, maritime connectivity, when we are talking about the security sector, that is some of the aspect of the neighborhood first policy. These are some principle which has been, put forward under the neighborhood first policy, that is sovereignty and the territorial integrity, mutual respect and the sensitivity, non-interference in the internal affairs, shared prosperity, connectivity for the regional integration, people to people exchange. Okay, so these things can be mentioned in your answer writing when you are writing an answer on the neighborhood of India or the neighborhood first policy or importance of the neighbors in the region. Okay, now that can be used as a some kind of diagram which you can be using like this. Okay, simple terms which you can just mention over there. Now that will fetch you extra marks. Coming to the next one, zoos put on the alert as avian flu kills 3 tigers and 1 leopard as a rescue center. Now, in this article they have said that there was 3 tigers which died because of the you can say avian influenza, that is bird flu. The virus over here, that is H5N1, that is the variant of the virus. Okay, so let's talk about that. 3 tigers and a leopard at Nagpur has been suffering from the avian influenza, and alert for the zoos across countries, because this is a zoonotic disease because of which it can spread from one area to another, is one animal to another. So that is why they have put it on the high alert. Okay, rare instance of the highly contagious H5N1 virus affecting rescued wildlife in India. So now that is something which has happened. National Institute of High Security Animal Disease, which is there in Bhopal, they have confirmed the presence of H5N1 virus in the animals over here. The virus primarily affects the birds but can infect mammals including large cats through contact with the infected birds or contaminated environment. Okay, if there is a infected bird and they have gone for some kind of prey and they have eaten it, that might be a chance that they have gotten this particular virus from that. Okay, preventive measures has been taken over here, avoiding the raw poultry or unverified meat sources for the carnivorous, routine health monitoring of animals and the enhanced biosecurity practices which has been taken care of. Now we will be talking about the bird flu over here. Now, bird flu or the avian influenza is an infectious viral illness primarily affecting the poultry and the wild birds. Now, this is for the poultry and the wild birds. This is primarily it is impacting them, but that can be, you can say, transferred to the other mammals as well. That is basically, you can say, a zoonotic disease. Now, here you can say what are the characteristics over here. Circulates among over 100 bird species, often without severe effects, because sometimes these viruses are basically there on the body. They are considering that body as a host. Okay, but severe impacts are not there, but occasionally there can be some kind of outbreak, can occasionally mutate into highly pathogenic forms causing significant outbreaks. Okay, now transmission path, various virus jumps from wild birds to the poultry farms, mutate in crowded poultry environment. Okay, so mutation can happen in the poultry environment, and if you are intaking this poultry or the meat, okay, that will be reason you will be infected too. Now on the human impact, if you talk about rare human infection with potentially severe consequences, we know that bird flu and the avian influenza that can be seen in the humans as well, based on the surface proteins, that is hemagglutinin. Okay, hemagglutinin is a protein, and other than that there is another one, that is neuraminidase. Okay, neuraminidase and the hemagglutinin, these are the two proteins on the basis of which, that is, you can see H5 and N1, hemagglutinin for H and neuraminidase for the N. Okay, so if there is some kind of change because of which this number, that when you are talking about the H H5 and N1. That means that some kind of change has happened over here, and because of which they are giving this name, that is H1 H5N1. Okay, so that is about the bird flu which we have talked about. That is enough from your exams point of view. They can ask you this. The two names of the protein which are given over here, that is hemagglutinin and the I guess neuraminidase. This is basically can be important for you. Now coming to the next one, that is 6 years after the quota for women at IITs, more hostels and the shift in the attitude. Now there was this report by Usher, All India Survey on Higher Education. Okay. Now basically on this particular report, All India Survey on the Higher Education for 2021-22, they have said that there are 48% women which are there in the total enrollment. When we are talking about all the people who are going for the enrollment in the higher education, 48% are women. Okay, so that is a good thing. But again, now here you can see in IITs, when we are talking about the STEM branches, when we are talking about, we are still seeing significant improvement, but still there are some of the concerns which are still there. So here you can see a silent revolution has been taking shape at the IITs over the last 6 years, ever since the supernumerary quota of 20% set aside for the women. Okay, so now when we are talking about the existing you can say reservation, okay, in addition to that they are having this 20% quota which is there for the women. Okay, so they have not you can say included them in the existing reservation, but that is different seats which has been created. These 20% seats are not part of the existing seats. Let's say earlier there was 100 seats which were there, and there was a reservation which was working on these 100 seats. Okay, they have not included women's 20% in that. They have actually created extra 20% so that it will not impact these 100%. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So they have specifically created a 20% quota for the women over here, and here you can say extra seats were created instead of the reserving them in the existing pool, and implemented in 2018 based on the recommendation of the committee led by the IIT Mandi director, that is Timothy. Okay, so under which there was this committee. Here you can see that there has been improvements over here, 21 to 24%, 20%, 20.60%. All these lines over here, they are seeing some kind of significant improvement over here. Now let's see what are the implications over here. Increased female representation in the IITs, that means that there is the more participation of the women in the STEM. Okay, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Enhanced campus infrastructure, that means that more hostels and the facilities are there. Shifting classroom dynamics, greater gender diversity and the academic interactions are becoming better. Broadening the career aspirations. When we are talking about the women or the females, they are coming out of the traditional roles. They are going into the areas like engineering, which are considered non-traditional for them. Okay, coming to the next one, institutional support, because of the government's effort, scholarship, mentorship programs and the investment by the government, we have seen this. Now what are the ongoing challenges over here? Societal bias is there, stereotype and the infrastructure gaps still remains, persist safety concerns and the gender sensitivity still require focused attention. Okay, now this can be used in your answer writing with respect to the woman empowerment. Other than that, anything related to the gender inequality or the equality, okay, you can write these data in your examinations. Okay, now let's move further to the next article, that is income disparity reduced in financial year 23. Top 10% still holds large share of the national income. When we are talking about the national income and the inequality is basically you can say assessed with the Gini coefficient or the Gini index which is there. Okay, so recently you will be seeing that the Gini index improved from 0.463 post independence to 0.367 in the 2015-16, but worsened to 0.506 by 2021 due to the COVID pandemic, and now again it has improved. Here you can see 2015-16 we had this much, that is 0.376, which was lower. Okay, that when we are talking about the 0, that means that perfectly equal income is there. When we talk about 1, that means that we are having imperfect income, or you can say here you can say this is your equality situation where income equality is there, and then here if we are talking about 1, that is income inequality is there. That means that if the Gini coefficient is increasing, that means inequality is increasing over here. Again, if Gini coefficient is increasing, that means that inequality is increasing. Okay, so now in 2015-16 it has come to a point where we were moving towards the equality, that is 0.367. Okay, then it becomes 0.506, that is you can say the maximum in 2020-21, and that is because of the COVID. Okay, and coming to the next efforts, you can be seeing that recently it has again gone down. We can say that now we are moving towards the more equal society. Okay, so that is there. Here Gini index measures the extent to which the distribution of the income or the consumption among the individuals or the household within the economy deviates from the perfectly equal distribution. So basically that is what they are talking about, that Gini coefficient will be telling you, Gini index will be telling you that how equal or unequal income distribution is there in the society. Now whatever it is given over here, you can go through this. We will be talking about this in the terms of graphs over here. Okay, now when we are talking about this particular improvement which has been seen over here, that is because of various reasons. That is because of the various efforts which has been made by the government. There is financial inclusion, the Manrega, direct benefit transfer, because of which the income of the lower strata has enhanced. Okay, that is why we are seeing that we are becoming more equal over here. Here you can see Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Schemes, direct benefit transfer, and the financial inclusion has been, you can say, pioneers in increasing the income over here. Now when we are talking about these graphs over here, you can see when we are talking about the income share nationally, if we talk about, so here you can say that is talking about the top 10%, top 10% of the strata. Here you can see earlier in 2015-16 that was 29.7% contribution. You can say that top 10% is having this much of wealth. Okay, then you will be seeing that in 2021 or the COVID time, that particular percentage has increased. Why? Because they were working from home. Okay, when we are talking about the lower strata, they were hustling with the jobs, they are migrating towards the, you can say, hinterland, and they were losing the jobs, they were, you can say, staying inside the houses. But when we are talking about the this top 10%, they were mostly in the services, and that is why that becomes important, that becomes easy for them to work from there. Okay, so you will be seeing that the corporate or the education sector or the, you can say, health sector, these are the areas wherein work from home was there. Other than that also there are some kind of sector which has seen the boom. We have seen that the recovery was something like this, K-shaped recovery was there. That means that some sections were rising and some sections were declining. So these are the person who were rising, that is the white collar jobs, or you can say the jobs which are related to the service sector. Okay, so that is there. So here you can see that the percentage of the concentration of the wealth has increased among the top 10% during the COVID time. Then again now it is decreasing. Okay, that is 30.6% as of now in 2022-23. Coming to the bottom 50% over time. Okay, so here you can see that during the time of the COVID we have seen a decline, and now it is again increasing, opposite to this. Okay, so if you put this graph over here ulta, you will be seeing that that is basically kind of a puzzle which is matching over here. Coming to the next one, Gini index value for the income inequality. So that is 38.9%, which was there in 2021 because of the COVID, and now this has been increased, that is 46.6%. That means that we are moving towards the equality. Okay, so that is the data which has been discussed in this particular article. You can go through this article. There are two things which is discussed. During the COVID time we have seen that there was a decline. Okay, or you can say during the COVID times we have seen that we were moving towards the inequalities because the income of the top 10% is rising. Okay, and when we are talking about the part where in 2022 and 23 we are again seeing that we are moving towards the equality because of the government investments, because of the government's efforts with respect to Manrega, direct benefit transfers, etc. Okay, so if they are asking you about the trend, you can see that there is a zigzag trend which is there. Okay, in the Gini coefficient. Okay, if they are asking you in the examination that the Gini coefficient has been increasing or decreasing over the years, that is not true because there has been a zigzag trend. Okay, now coming to the next part, that is your how trans person can change name, gender identity and in the official documents. Okay, now there was this case in front of the Supreme Court. I would say that you can directly go and read this article. It is, you consider that for your own read because of the want of time. Okay, so you can read this article. Recently Supreme Court has given a verdict over here, and they have said that a person who has gone for the change in the sexual orientation, or the, you can say, when we are talking about the trans people, so there can be this particular issue with respect to the sex which is assigned at the birth and how they want to feel, or they feel that way, or you can say their gender and sex can be different. Okay, so on the basis of that they have actually discussed in this particular article. We have this law, that is Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act 2019. Okay, So here they have discussed a case of Miss X over here, and herein you can go through this particular you can say article over here. So that is about this article. Coming to the next one, for the passing reference, life sprouts in space. Recently we have sent SpaceX. SpaceX was sent by India, okay, that was for the docking activity. Along with that, there are other experiments which were also there, okay, that is PSLV 60 C60, which has been taking this satellite to the space, okay, and there was this POEM module which was there, which will be performing various experiments over there. And here we have seen that there was some kind of sprouting which has happened, okay. So here you can say we have sent 8 cowpea seeds as part of the compact research module for the orbital plants studies experiment conducted by the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center to study the plant growth in the microgravity conditions. And there we have seen that there was this sprout which has been actually seen in that particular experiment, okay. So that is just something wherein you can say that in the microgravity conditions, can we go for the germination of the crops, etc., or can we go and you can say cultivate crops inside that microgravity conditions, okay. So that is a passing reference with respect to the SpaceX. Now for your own read, there is this article, why 1978 anti-conversion law in Arunachal Pradesh now be enforced. Now here we are discussing that in depth, okay. So you can go and watch that particular video. Now coming to the next part, that is fact of the day. Recently a 4th century CE Sanskrit inscription was found in Gilgit in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, written in the Brahmi script. Now when we are talking about this Pakistan occupied Kashmir, that is part of India, but to tell you that where this particular thing has exactly been found, so that is why we have made this reference. So there was this Sanskrit inscription which has been found over here. Inscription found in Gilgit mentions the Pushpa Singha installing a Maheshwar Linga, okay. Maheshwar Ling for the merit of his guru name was partially lost. So here there was this name, that is Pushpa Singha, which has been mentioned, and the Maheshwar Linga that has been mentioned on that particular inscription. That can be an important question from your art and cultures point of view, so please remember that. Earlier in 2024, 10th century CE Sanskrit and the Sharda script used in the Kashmir for the Sanskrit and Kashmiri inscription was discovered in the Peshawar, near Peshawar, referring to Buddhist Dharini, okay, chant with the mention of the Dha Rini, okay. So that is there. So because of the Buddhist Dharini, this name is, or you can say reference has been given to the Buddhist Dharini, okay. Buddhist Dharini refers to the mantras or the chants used in the Buddhism for the protection and the purification and invoking the blessings. So that has been discussed in this particular fact of the day today, that there was this inscription which was found in the Sanskrit language in the Gilgit region of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and there were 2 names, that is Pushpa Singha and the Maheshwar Linga, which has been mentioned over here. Other than that, before also we have found this inscription in the Sanskrit and the Sharda script, which are related to the script which used in the Kashmir for Sanskrit and the Kashmiri language. From the geography through maps, these are some of the passes which are given over here. What I will do is that I will be discussing these passes in the next session, because today's session has been long because of the, you can say, 2 newspaper of the weekend. So we will be discussing that in the next session. You can go through this particular element over here, that is some of the important passes which are there. You can go through this. We will be discussing that in the next lecture. Now for your practice question, under article 300A, the government can deprive a person of his property only by passing a constitutional amendment. No, by following a legal procedure established by law. Option B would be your right answer over here. We have already discussed the right to property, that is the constitutional and a legal right and not a fundamental right, okay. Now coming to the last part, that is practice question for your own practice today, that is if the Gini coefficient of the country is increasing, it implies that reduced income inequality, increased income inequality, stable income distribution, increase in the economic growth, okay. So you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you, and please go through that passage. We'll be discussing that in the next lecture. There was one article with respect to the changing of the name and the identity of the trans people, so you can go through that article as well. The procedure is not important, but the judgment which has been given by the Supreme Court, that is important. You can go through that, and if possible, I will be trying to take that particular article in the next session as well, okay. So have a nice day. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe the channel.